Hey YouTubers, I hope everyone is well. I am back to make you guys some updates on YouTube. I will be back now regularly every single week. I plan to start making an ALPP video later on in the next week and then again start getting some market updates out. For the first 2 minutes of this video though, I'm just going to give you a quick update as to where I have been and what I have been up to. So if you do want to go ahead and skip that, then just go ahead and try and find the timestamp if I remember to put it in on this video so we can have a quick talk about what's happening with the markets. But I started a new job in the new year. I thought it was going to be really good and it was going to be a lot better for my timekeeping and time management to start doing YouTube more full time. Unfortunately, it ended up being the exact opposite and it was extremely draining and I was working so much that I had no free time to do anything. So I actually left that job. I decided to go traveling before summer hit in Europe. I went to Greece and also Turkey and a few other places and I had an amazing time. I met some incredible people and as we know, the markets have just been in a really terrible state. So I haven't spent much time looking through my portfolio or doing any updates because while the market is selling off, guys, the best thing to do is simply just switch off unless you are buying, because every single day you are going to look at your portfolios and just see red. So unless you're actually averaging down, you're probably going to be feeling really crappy. So the idea of me coming back right now is to give you guys important weekly updates on stocks that potentially I'm watching, on some of the current stocks that we have been holding and talking about on this channel, and exactly when we are going to be seeing a bottom, hopefully for this crazy time where we are now maybe going through a slight recession and also where inflation is hitting that 41-year high of about 8 to 9% in the US, and we have seen that shift rotation from growth to value. But at some point, guys, there is going to be another rotation back from value, of course, into growth. So it's just about being patient in the markets and just taking your time. If you're invested for the long term, guys, it's going to be absolutely fine. We're going to jump ahead onto my screen because I wanted to show you guys some data that hopefully will give you guys some confidence, especially those of you out there that are holding through these really volatile times and you're probably very disheartened with a lot of the stocks, especially the stocks that ARK Invest hold and some of the stocks that we've spoken about on this channel and some of the big YouTubers that have been speaking about the future of how electrical and energy storage and all of those things, and of course biopharmaceutical companies, because they have been selling off quite dramatically, and that is also due to the fact that inflation has gone so high, it's gone out of control. For these next 12 months it is going to be a very volatile period, but the market likes to factor in the future. So you have to remember that what we have factored in over these last few months has been the fact that we are expecting supply chain issues because we've had war again with Russia and Ukraine, because of course we have inflation fears and we have no news that the Fed are going to be helping pump any more stimulus into the economy. That stopped and people are not spending money like they once were. So all of these factors have now been factored into the market, which is why we had seen such a dramatic sell-off. And again, coming onto the screen, we can see that Brent oil is doing extremely well. So having your money potentially in commodities right now on CFD platforms in the short term in things like gold and oil could actually pay off quite well. So that's just something I wanted to bring to your attention before we start talking about stocks, because you don't always have to trade in stocks, guys. There are commodities, forex and other things that you can simply dip your toes in the short term if you are looking to make a quick bang for your buck. It is again just learning about how to read charts and learning when again the news is going to be playing into your favor. If there is a recession, gold is going to go up. All of those things, just general knowledge. Now, on stocks particularly, what I wanted to talk about today was the S&P 500. So if I bring the S&P 500 chart up, we can see, guys, that the SPY has actually sold off, and actually about 6 to 7 months ago I had drawn in this line. Hilariously, it's still there, and you can see that we have now actually bounced technically at that key support area, which is hilarious because I haven't been on this chart for a really long time, which goes to show that my technical analysis does work, and this is an area of resistance and support where it has come down to and it has bounced off at. And again, we can see that on the RSI we have used those levels where we are now potentially below into a bear market below the 50, so we could see some volatile swings potentially between 430 all the way down to 381 or lower, depending on where the market direction goes over these next few months. And that is going to depend on how big tech does and how revenues go. Right now we have a supply chain issue where so many companies have over ordered for all of their inventories because of COVID, because people were spending, because they had stimulus, and now people are not spending. So we have a backlog of inventories, and companies are now going to have to cut costs. They're going to have to lower those costs to get rid of all of those inventories that they have now filled up, and it's going to mean cheaper prices, which means inflation long term should also then come down, but it means that the stock market temporarily in the 6 months ahead could see some rocky volatility. So this is all the things that you guys need to know about. If you are investing for the long term, you are going to be fine. And this is why I'm going to show you, this is just actual general research from history, and this is all we can go on. So if we actually look, guys, at how history plays out, especially for the S&P 500 and all of the companies like the FTSE 100 indexes and all of that, we can see that if you miss the top 10 days of trading over a 15-year period, you actually cut your return almost in half. So this is why being invested in the long term, guys, over a long term period is the best way to make money if you are a long term investor. Because if you are going to try and time the market, you just simply don't know where the bottom is going to be. We don't know when we're going to have the 10 best days in the market, and we also don't know when we are going to have the 10 worst days. But what is really interesting to point out is something that recently got brought to my attention. The 7 of the best 10 days occurred within 2 weeks of the worst 10 days in the market, guys. Now, this study was done over the course of many years, and it is very interesting to see that you could potentially sell out of your stocks because you are scared of inflation potentially running away in the short term and stocks being hurt and temporarily down. You know, we could go back to the chart on the S&P 500, guys, and we could look at how many times the S&P 500 has crashed over the last 10-15 years, and we could have said that the financial meltdown all the way back down in 2008 and the tech and telecom bust, all of these times, guys, are times where we've had potential crashes. And this could be a time where we could have sold out of our stocks because we were scared that there was going to be a massive recession, the stock market was never going to recover, but it did. It continued to dip, and it dipped again in 2015. But what happened, guys, over time is that the stock market continued to go up. Companies did well, companies grew, more companies got added into the S&P 500 as companies left. And of course, what happened? The S&P 500 went all the way up to about 475. Now we have sold off, so it's much better to buy an index or a stock once again it has sold off, because that is when you are getting a cheaper deal. It's no good trying to buy a stock, guys, when it is really high at its highest, because that is when you have to have more concern. If it is at its highest peak, you are not going to get as much value for a stock or an index as you are when it is sold off. So it is in these times, guys, of crisis where we look at the stock market and we actually realize that massively growth and innovation has sold off more than 50-60% in most stocks across the market. And this is potentially a very good time if you are a long-term investor and you have a 5-year time horizon, where you can see good companies like Nvidia, for example, that are going to do extremely well. Nvidia is probably a company, guys, that is going to be absolutely enormous in the future, and it is a company that I am currently watching closely and adding slowly to my portfolio. Now, again, there are a ton of companies that I have in my portfolio, and not to say that they have been doing very well at all in this last 6 months, because again, we have seen a very bare market, especially in that sector that we have just spoken about. But I haven't really sold any of my positions, and my thesis for the long term, guys, because I'm in my 30s, hasn't changed much. I'm invested in companies that I believe are going to change the world, and companies that are going to do incredibly well because they are positioning themselves for future growth, and they are absolutely meeting targets in every single quarter. Whether or not they're profitable in the short term doesn't really bother me, because I know that in the long term, guys, these companies should be here to stay unless something very dramatic happens. Now, like I said, we have had a lot of drama amongst the stock market with war and all of these issues that we have just spoken about. Then I would love for you to join this journey with me and everyone else. I have a Patreon if you would like to support the channel at all. And again, a massive shout out to all of my patrons that are still with me even today. You guys are absolutely amazing, so thank you so much for that. I am going to, like I said, start to try and do this a lot more regularly now. I am going to update a schedule, but I am uploading on the same days every week. I'm hoping to do on Tuesdays, just like I am today, which gives us Monday to kind of see how the market is going, which direction the market is going in, and then get that update on Tuesday. Any other videos I do in addition, guys, I will always try and use my free time and utilize that to get more content up for you guys. But again, weekly videos are something that I am definitely strongly convinced I will be doing from now on. So I hope that you did enjoy this update, guys. Stay positive out there, keep a fresh mindset. If you are someone that is holding a portfolio that is down do not pay too much attention to it in the short term, because like I said, in the long term, the proof is in the pudding. We can look, again, go onto Google and look at how the 10-day difference is. Go and look at the returns of the S&P 500 over a 50-year period. Look at it over a 15-year period, and you will see that holding for the long term, guys, it is better to buy stock when it is undervalued and it is down because of inflation fears or anything like that in the short term, because again, in the long term, we are probably going to do fine based on the events of history, and that is all we have to go on. So guys, I hope you did enjoy today's quick update. I will be doing individual stock picks. If you would like me to do any of your favorites or anything that we have spoken about in the past, then please let me know. Just go down in the comments, let me know which stocks you would like me to start divulging into more in-depth analysis. We'll do a full technical update on Alpine 4, we'll go through some of the earnings, and again, we'll go through anything that they have been tweeting over these last few months, because I haven't had much time to get these updates out until today. So I hope you guys are well, wish you really, really well, and I look forward to seeing you back on my channel soon for some more content on investing. Ciao.